Hi Gritty 3Ds. Now invariably when you're putting together models you're going to be left with gaps where the two pieces just don't join together properly, or you want to lose a gap. For example, the arm and the chest joining together, you don't want a gap there. Now in the past I've used things such as Milliput to join those larger holes together, which has worked well, or I've just used the resin that I've printed the model with, popped on with a toothpick and then cured with a UV light to join those gaps. Well, very recently I've been sent some of this Funcrecol light curing putty, and I'm going to be testing that out today and seeing what I think of it. Now it comes in a tiny little jar here, but there is more than you think in there, and it basically uses the same theory as using your resin. It is light curing, which means you put it under a UV light for a couple of minutes and it goes from what's like a clay-like material to absolutely rock solid. It is absolutely like rock when it's been cured. So make sure when you're using this is one of the important things, you keep the lid on, because UV light will cure it and you don't want it curing before you've got it in your model. It also comes with another kind of a resin, and this one is a very similar resin, but it's in a syringe, and this one is a lot more free-flowing than the tin, which means you can inject it into places you probably can't get the tin into easily. Exactly the same principle, just inject it into where you want to cure and pop some UV light on it and it will cure in the shape that the UV light hits it. So I'm making this rocket raccoon diorama from Wicked 3D printing, and when you connect the two pieces together, the first thing I noticed was, and this happens in 3D printing, you see it from time to time, this one was my fault because I ran out of resin, but you can see a massive gap there, and normally, you know, I'd look at things like the Milliput, etc. to fill it, but I'm going to try using the injectable UV resin in here to just fill the little gaps on the edges here. I'm not going to use this to fill the big gap. We're going to come back to the other ones to that, but all you do is you put it on, and as you can see it's quite runny under fingertip. Just smooth it across to match the decor of the rest of the model, and when you're happy, get the UV light on it. It is as simple as that, and it will cure it into place. Now it's a bit thicker than using resin on its own, which means it's a little bit more pliable, which means you can shape it a little bit easier, because resin obviously is going to run all over the place. You have to be pretty quick with it, and I'm just putting a bit on my finger here and I'm just rubbing it down some of the gaps. Now this will not fill large gaps, you need the other one for that one, but for the little tender smaller gaps this will fit wonderful. Now for the large gap I'm going to take a clump of this stuff with my finger. Now this is quite thick, it's like almost semi-dried putty, which is a great consistency, and you can get it right into places and it will hold its shape wherever you put it. Now you can see that I've put it into that gap there and it just holds its position, holds its shape lovely. Put a bit of water on your finger if you need to, just to smooth it down a little bit, and then UV into place. Now the good thing with this stuff is it's sandable as well when it's all set, so don't worry about perfection because you can get it right with the sander. But the important thing is this nice thick gloopy stuff is really easy to use and to get into places that you can't get basic old resin in. And if you want something that's going to cure instantly, like with Milliput you have to wait for it to cure, with wood filler you have to wait for it to cure, this stuff will cure in a couple of minutes. So if you're under time constraints and you want to get your model finished, this is a great way of doing it. Now you can mix resin with talcum powder to get a thicker consistency, but I found this stuff to be excellent, and I'll put some links in the description of where you can get it from and the costs, etc, but it's not too expensive at all. For the tin of the thicker resin you're looking about $24 US, and for the syringe you're looking at $10 US. Now here you can see me in a speeded up process, just putting the syringe resin all the way across the very fine edges of the join and just using my fingertip to rub it through. Now what I've done at the end of the whole thing, just to make sure everything is cured, is I've just popped it into my curing station just for a couple of minutes, just to make sure that it's all done. And when I've took it out, it's done. All the edges are joined together lovely, the gaps are joined, the whole thing is rock solid. It was just easy. Now I could have used Milliput as I said before, but that would have taken hours and hours to cure. Now this is instant and it's ready for painting, so if time constraint is your issue, this stuff is absolutely perfect for that. Now you can also use it to fill drainage holes once you've drained your model fully, or in my case after adding a hole, an actual drainage hole that went through the wrong side of the model, as you can see there, we can use it too for that. So for this hole here, I'm going to use the thicker material. I'm going to get a glob on my fingertip. Make sure you use gloves when you wear this. Treat it as resin, of course, and just fill that hole. That is how easy it was to get it in there. Now you've got time to play with this. It is pliable until UV light hits it. So I've just got a firm brush here, and I'm just brushing it flat into all the nooks and crannies and angles of the model to make sure that it replicates the material and the shape that it's using there. And once I'm happy that that's gone in and it's reflecting the surface of what's in there already, then I'm going to cure it. You can also use this to mold things. If you are talented and artistic, which I am not, you can mold things, cure them and add them. I've seen people use things like this for teeth. When the teeth break off, the finer teeth, just make your own and then glue them on there. There's a whole myriad of things you can use them for. I've put my UV light on it, and as you can see then, it is finished. Now here I've got one of the dreaded split models that in essence I'm going to throw in the bin, but I thought it'd be great to just show you guys what you can achieve with this Funcrecol solid resin paste. So I'm going to take that gap that's on the model there, and I am literally just going to fill the gap with it. I'm pushed it right inside using my finger with a gloved hand just to push it in as far as I can go, get it right inside there and smooth it out. If it looks like it's dried out a little bit, just put a little bit of water on your finger and smooth it out. And then all I'm going to do is take my UV light and I am going to cure it. Now it looks a bit of a mess, bear with me on this one. I'm also going to use a double pronged attack on this. I'm going to take some of the softer resin as well, and I'm just going to fill that top layer with it, and I'm just going to smooth it out with my finger, and then I'm going to hit it with the UV light. And what I've done now is you can see I've filled that gap. The huge gap that was there has now gone. So once it's cured, I'm going to get a file on it to start with, a nice rough file. Now remember, this stuff, it absolutely, it's like rock, it's like solid, so you're not going to wipe it off once it's been cured. So I'm getting a file on it and I'm filing it like a billio, and then I'm going to go down to some sandpaper, and once I'm happy that the sandpaper has done that job, I'll go down to a very fine sandpaper just to smooth it out. Now I'm not going to complete this fully, but I just want you to get an overview of what you can do with it with a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. As I say, it's not 100% done, but you can see that's what we started off with, and with 10 minutes work, that's what I've got. Needs a little bit more tidying up, needs a little bit more sanding. The thing is still going to go in the bin, I'm not going to lie, but not because of the faults of the Funcrecol. It was the model that was knackered. The whole model's knackered really. And here we've got a little bit on there that's soft. I'm going to just show you how hard it gets with the UV light. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that today. I hope you found it useful. It's another tool for your toolbox, guys, really. I'll put a link in the description where you can get it from. I'd be really interested to know if you've tried this stuff and what you think of it. Is it good? Is it bad? Do you like it or don't you like it? Let me know so that other people can also know what experience you've had. From my perspective, it does what it says on the tin, and it's a tool in my toolbox to go alongside my milliput and my resin in a precision bottle. But I'm quite happy with how hard it goes and how quick it is. It's wonderful stuff. Please subscribe to the channel. Think about joining the Greedy 3D Patreon, and above all, and I think this is the important thing for me, I want to know what you think about what you've seen today. Share some thoughts and views on this stuff, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on Greedy 3D. Thanks to Funcrecol for sending me some of this to play with. I've really enjoyed using it, and I shall continue to use it in my forthcoming models. See you soon.